Ramona Bishop talked about identifying the best teachers and putting them to work. And I'd say this has been probably one of the most contentious issues on the education landscape, is how we do that. And as I'm sure everyone in this room knows, the issue of linking teacher evaluations to the test scores of students has been on the forefront of the agenda and the Obama administration's agenda as well. Students First have been out front on this issue, and so I just wanted to bring Tim Melton into the conversation. Where do you guys stand on this now? Because I've seen different thresholds, 50% of a teacher's evaluation should be based on test scores, 35. Where do you guys stand now?
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of research that hasn't been vetted out yet on the percentage, so I don't want to get narrowed down a particular percentage. You know, obviously, a significant portion we think should be based on the value that the teachers are giving and the student growth that takes place in a classroom. Everybody in this room brings a different lens to everything they view in life. I mean, I came from a very poor neighborhood in a single-parent household, and my mom got remarried when I was 9 years old, and she sent me to a private school because I was in a community that there was a 60% dropout rate. My high school proficiency for math was 5%. English was 11%, but yet every single teacher in that school was rated exemplary. But something was wrong. There was a disconnect. And my mom sent me to a private school, and I will tell you, when I look back in life, I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for that decision my mom made. My mom should not have had to have made that decision. I should have been able to go to my local public school and get a great education, and not now, as an adult and a parent first, feel guilty about my neighbors that I grew up with that didn't have the opportunities that I had. So when I look at this, the most frustrating thing as a parent right now is we all talk about excellent teaching. We talk about the great teachers. Why don't we have a system that just identifies it? I can tell you right now, every teacher in the school building, every principal, every parent, every student, the janitor in the school system knows who the good teachers and the bad teachers are. Because they do gasp when they get that teacher assignment and go, oh, no, I don't want that teacher. Or no, I want Mrs. Jones, though. So we know who the good and bad teachers are. We're the greatest country in America. Yet we can't together collectively create an evaluation system that tells us what we already know. This is what's amazing to me. And people want to talk about 50% or 30%. Look, let's just all get to the table and quit talking about it. The good thing about this is that now we're talking about it. 10 years ago, we weren't even talking about it. You know, I got elected to the Michigan State House of Representatives as a freshman, was named chairman of the Education Committee. Walked in, sat there, wasn't an educator, wasn't an expert like the other panelists here on the table today. And I said, okay, Mr. Speaker and Madam Governor, where is the plan that you want me to work on? The Democrats, which I am, have to have some systematic plan that you want me to work on over the next 6 years of my career. And they said, oh, no, there is no plan. We don't have it's up to you. I said, well, I'm not an educator. And then all of a sudden, people started knocking on my door, and Representative Buchanan will attest to this. Every special interest group lined up as soon as committee assignments came out. Oh, Representative Melton, there's our plan for the next year. It was all about adult interest, not student interest. We need to figure this simple thing out. Let's determine who the best educators are, and the ones that aren't the best, let's get them the proper professional development. I don't think anybody in this room is going to argue that. The Students First position is clear. Not every teacher is created equal. Not every teacher can go into the city of Pontiac and teach. You might be a great teacher, but I will tell you, the main problem that we've got in this state is this achievement gap, and this country's main problem is this achievement gap. And I'm not going to bore you with the stats. Right. We all know it's a major issue. But I will tell you, we've got to find who those special people are, and we got to put them in the right place so they can actually teach these kids. And I will tell you, it's not a 9 to 5. Those jobs may be 7 to 7 and on the weekends, and calling those kids at home and making sure they show up to school like the superintendent said. That's a key point. That's what Students First stands for. We want a rigorous evaluation system that's going to determine who the good ones are and who needs help, get them the best help we can so they could all succeed.
But Tim, can I just follow up on that?
Please.
But could you address that threshold issue? Are you saying you guys don't really have a position at this point?
I mean, we have a position. I mean, our position is it should be significant. I would tell you, when I talk to my wife and I ask her what significant is, she says 1%. And I said, well, what do you mean, honey? And she goes, well, if you win an election by 1%, that's significant. So the Obama administration came out with the word, significant. And we sat around, I sat in my very office as the education chairman and had every single organization come in and give me a different definition of significant. We believe significant is important. Everyone else can define that how you want. Do we think, is it significant if it's 5% and there's 50 other measures that are 4%? Then that's the most relevant. We think anywhere from 30 to 50% makes sense.
30 to 50%, okay. Just a question, you had a bill in the legislature which dealt with some evaluation issues, having more regular evaluations. Do you have
Me
plans?
personally?
No,
Oh, yeah.
the StudentsFirst. Are you going to, is
Yeah,
StudentsFirst?
I mean, look,
how focused are you on California?
Very, very. We're in 18 states. We are based in California, in Sacramento. That's where I work now. I moved my whole family out here. We are very focused. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you right now, there was a bill up just this week. And this is what's very mind-numbing to me as a former legislator and somebody that I thought was willing to take on the tough challenges. Number one, I asked myself 3 questions. Number one, can kids in high areas of poverty learn? The answer is yes. Number 2, do we know what works? There are schools right here in San Jose with 95% free and reduced lunch population that has 850s on the API. We know that these kids can learn, and we know that there are schools that make it work. Number 3, does the legislature in this state have the political courage to do what it's going to take to do it? There was a bill just this week, Senator Calderon, a Democrat, put in a bill that did 3 things. Number 1, the state law says teachers have to be evaluated once every 5 years. Number 2, we wanted at least 4 different levels, not just satisfactory, non-satisfactory, 4 different levels of job performance. And number 3, that parents should be involved in the creation of the evaluation system. That's it, 3 things. No one in this room, I bet, disagrees that those are pretty common, simple steps to take. There was one hearing. Teachers from all over the state showed up in that hearing room, 100 of them lined up outside the door and said, this is very simple, we agree with this, and we want it. All it did was move it from 5 years to 3 years. A teacher stood up and he says, I worked at Blockbuster Video and got evaluated more often on my candy upsales than I did as a teacher. I mean, there was a student that came in from a local high school and said, I get evaluated every quarter, and my teacher gets evaluated, if this bill passes, 3 times a decade. This is just common sense stuff. And satisfactory, non-satisfactory, there was a study, or
Tim,
this is important, though.
Let's go to the
But just one more point, if I could, because there was a poll done of teachers. And what do teachers want? Ask yourself what teachers want. Do you think a teacher that's a great teacher wants to be called satisfactory? Does anybody want to be called satisfactory? No. You want to actually know, are you good? Do you need help? Or are you great, excellent in achieving? That's all this bill did. 3 senators at the end of the day voted for it. 6 others sat there and abstained and would not even vote, yay or nay. 1 senator stood up and said, abstention is a position. Not yay or nay, I vigorously abstain. That is not a position. What we elect people in these states to do is take a position. If you are against it, be against it. 100 people stood up there, teachers, dues-paying CTA members, said, look,
Tim,
this is what I want. And that's what I think we all want.
Okay, well, let's